All right, JT. Game 2, round 2. 19 years in waiting since we've been able to say that. Never been said on these airways before.
Never, ever, ever.
But guess what? They lost game 1. But they also lost game 1 in round 1.
Yeah.
Came back in a big way in game 2. They've had a really solid bounce-back team all year long. You noted the stats earlier this season. 24-5-3 coming off a loss. They were 2-0 in the first round coming off of a loss, but Samsonov, 13-1-2 is his personal record in the regular season, 2-0 in the postseason. So they've been, the bounce-back buds. So what are 3 things that they need to do tonight to make sure that they keep being the bounce-back buds? Let's start with the first key to tonight's game, JT.
Listen, there's so much buzz about Matthew Tkachuk right now. Like, his name is dominating every airwave across the country, and he's well-deserving of all of the flowers being thrown in his direction. The Leafs have to limit him tonight. Limit Matthew Tkachuk should be a major point of emphasis. That D pairing, McCabe and Brody, has to be a little bit better on him. We just heard that those guys want to be like goldfish tonight. Kind of forget about that first game. TJ Brody specifically with his gaffe in game 1 that led to that Verhaeghe goal that was pretty deflating when the Leafs had just tied it up. You got to forget about that stuff, and you got to move on. And making sure that Matthew Tkachuk, because Matthew Tkachuk, you know what's interesting? Like, he got flattened twice in that first game, maybe.
So
and it's almost like the violence inspires him.
It does. It really does. Like, typically, it's like, get more physical with him, make him a little bit.
I don't know if that's the move with him, man.
It doesn't necessarily
Fires
work
him
with
up.
Tkachuk. It does. It uses it as fuel.
Yeah.
Like, literally fuel, and then he just goes out there and he projects it right back at you.
Yeah, so
Not to
Matthew
say-
Nyes even this morning was talking about the vitriol, and you could see it. Like, it wasn't a secret that Matthew Tkachuk was just spitting vitriol at Matthew Nyes trying to get into his head. But I appreciated Matthew Nyes staying really even-keeled in those moments. Like, obviously you have to impose on him physically, but I think there's a line between making sure you're physical with him, making sure you're limiting him, but also not giving him too much fuel. Because the more fuel you give that guy, it's like the more powerful he gets. Yeah,
in a way, it's real. It's a fine line that you gotta dance a little bit here, and especially in the playoffs when things are emotional, it's sometimes tough to toe that line. But I thought something that Sheldon Keefe spoke about yesterday after practice, obviously we look at the night that Tkachuk had. He absolutely caved in the Maple Leafs no matter who was out there trying to defend him. Like, they got to figure out a formula that works, a deep pairing that works. It's got to be Brody McCabe, actually.
Yeah.
But they got to figure out what, forward grouping that they want to toss out there, too. But I thought that there was another, interesting little thing that Sheldon Keefe said the Leafs can do to limit Tkachuk. Here's what he had to say.
Well, you got to get them on their half of the ice. I mean, they spending time in the offensive zone and winning pucks back and making it hard for you to get out of your end and then attacking your net. I mean, they get momentum, they get life, they get energy. It really fuels the rest of their team's game. We started to spend way more time on their half of the ice in the second period, and all of a sudden, all offensive players aren't going to be as good. So that's the challenge, but not easy. Those guys were really good last night, and we allowed them to be, even better than what we would have expected.
We allowed them to be even better. I think Sheldon Keefe was playing a little bit of John Cooper this morning in his
a little bit
saying, the Panthers were good, but we probably let them be a little bit better than they should have been.
And if you look back on that game, you look at the ozone possession time, right? Toronto had most of the ozone possession. They did have most of the power plays, so you'd expect that. But Florida only had 5 minutes and 45 seconds of ozone time. A minute, 2 of that was spent on Matthew Tkachuk's stick. And this guy who was second on the Flames was Sam Bennett with 38 seconds of time with the puck on his stick. That's 2 guys on that line who spent a lot of time, most of the time, in the offensive end. Absolutely, they got to figure out a way to not allow them to cook in the offensive end and try and keep them hemmed in their own zone and take away his effectiveness in the offensive end, in Toronto's end of the ice.
Yeah, because, he's Matthew Tkachuk, but you're Austin Matthews, and you're Mitch Marner, and you're William Nylander. So let's step up in that way.
And that leads to our second key to tonight's game. The big boys got to finish on their chances, and especially on the power play. How many times have we said that if they would have scored on that power play, if Austin Matthews would have been able to make one of those shots drop on the PP, how different that game might have been, right? So if they can get a couple early power plays again tonight, they got to make sure they finish. And regardless, whatever opportunities that they get, they got to come out. They got to come out hot, first of all. And when they do, they have to convert. They had 4.46 expected goals. They got to convert on those chances and looks and turn them into actual goals tonight.
Yeah.
Part of that was Bobrovsky turning back the clock and playing at a Vezina level.
Part of it, but how many
Gotta tip your
rebounds did I
hat
look
to
at
that.
you during that game and say that was a rebound that nobody hopped on that
Yep.
he left available?
Yep,
So
for sure.
it is on Leafs. Bob was good. The Leafs have to be better.
Absolutely, they got to be better.
All right, the last one. And this ties into it. I guess on both sides of the ice. Win the net front battles. Samsonov was talking about how in this series versus Florida, he's noticing more traffic in front of him, or I guess through one game, he noticed more traffic in front of him than he did in the Tampa series. So it's on the defenseman to make sure that those lanes are clear for Sammy to see.
Yeah,
Can't see, can't stop it.
100%, and that goes on the other side too, right? Like that was
Cause
their big
havoc.
success. The biggest success they had with Andre Vasilevsky. They took away the sight lines and they kind of got guys in front, traffic to the net, and they were able to get redirects and whatnot to change the direction of the pucks too. That clearly helped as well. But you got to do that on Bobrovsky as well. Like guys like that who have won not one but two Vezinas. If they see the puck, they're going to stop the puck.
Yeah, where did
right?
that go? Where did that tip shot from the point go? I think it'd be very good in this situation.
Yeah, so I think getting more traffic in front of Bobrovsky, limiting the traffic in front of Samsonov, I think will go a long way for the Maple Leafs tonight.